interesting technical session that is comprised of 5 futuristic project management evolution topics. We welcome back Mr. Jan William Middelburg, who will be speaking on data-driven project management. Please welcome Mr. Jan.
Thanks, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Good. In the next 10 minutes, I have the honor to give you a sneak preview into the Enterprise Big Data Framework. Why was it created, and especially what does it have to do with project management? As we've just discussed in the panel, every company or organization is becoming data-driven. And this is also true for projects, small and large. So what steps can you take in order to get started with big data in your organization? Go to the next slide, please. What I will do in the next few minutes is give you a very brief introduction of the Enterprise Big Data Framework, and especially the structure of what kind of capabilities are necessary to become data-driven. A very easy first step to do that is by looking at why is a framework necessary. Frameworks, like project management frameworks, bring structure. And that structure is important because it helps people to understand what are crucial capabilities that we would need to build up in order to become more and more data-driven. Frameworks are also important because they are able to communicate with each other. If everyone in the organization uses the same language and the same type of terminology, it becomes easy to share ideas and talk with each other. What I will do it's going very, very quick. There is a bit of a loop. Let me get started with explaining the need of why big data is coming to fruition. Every person that knows and reads the newspapers knows that data intelligence, and analytic skills are primary importance every single day. I really always like the slide here that you see in the middle. And that is that big data and analytics is forecasted to be the #1 element in demand for this year. So that means that it pays off. It matters to learn a little bit more around that, because that will further your career in any specific way. Can we play the video? I'm going to skip the video because I don't think that's coming. So let me then start with a brief explanation of why this is challenging. As we've just seen, big data is there coming to change the world. But on the one hand, a lot of companies are really struggling with how do we achieve this? How can we become a data-driven organization? And how can we take the steps to actually get there? The research on the slide shows that almost every company understands that this is necessary, but lots of companies struggle to get real value out of this. If you look at the research that you see here on the slide, it shows that 32% of companies only see measurable success. And the number one reason why that's the case is lack of an enterprise big data strategy. So there's a big gap, and that big gap is shown by the next slide. On the one hand, we have the necessity. We want to make sure that this is happening. We want to take the steps to become more data-driven. On the other hand, we also see there's a lot of risks involved. Not a lot of projects are successful. The technology is difficult and expensive. So how do you bridge that gap? I always like to show that gap with the bridge that you see right here. Because this bridge brings structure. Anybody know where this bridge is located? In there? Yeah, in China, very good. If you have never been here, this is a very great place to go. If you are on the bottom of this bridge, you can look down and you will fall towards your death if the glass wasn't there. The reason that I like to use a bridge as an analogy is for two reasons. The first reason is that it's connecting. It's connecting between where we are today versus where we want to be in the future. And the second part is that a bridge provides structure. And that's a structure that we all need in order to become a more data-driven organization. From that structural perspective, the Big Data Framework was created. And what we did with the research team is look at what are the critical capabilities that every company needs in order to become more data-driven. And we've taken a vendor-independent approach in order to do that. So let me give you a very brief overview of the 6 critical components of the Enterprise Big Data Framework, because it's structured in 6 main capabilities. All the way in the center, you see the aspect of strategy. I already mentioned this during the panel discussion, but if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Strategy is the starting point. There is so much data that you could use in projects or in any form that you collect that you can potentially spend the rest of your life making all kinds of nice graphs that are very interesting, but that don't have business value. So start with the end in mind. Start to define how data is going to support your project. Start thinking about how data can help you to get a competitive advantage. Start thinking how data can be used to outperform your competitors. Those are the critical aspects that you will see in strategy. The second critical component, and there's no way around that, is that you need to have technology in place. And that is referred to as the architecture capability. Architectures and technology is necessary in order to analyze the data in your organization. Yet what many companies do is that they start from a tool perspective. They talk to a nice vendor and they offer them their specific tool. You should do it the other way around. Look first at what your design needs to be, what is your blueprint, and then start mapping the technological components around it. Thirdly, what you do need is a little bit of knowledge around how do you get and extract value from data. And this is the field which is commonly known as data science. Does that mean that everyone in this room should become a data scientist? Obviously not. But what is important is that you know and understand and can interpret data, so that you have sufficient knowledge to join the conversation and know what these kinds of analysis mean. Fourth, and this is probably from an enterprise perspective one of the most important things, is that you need to start thinking about processes right from the start. If you're dealing with massive amounts of data in a project or across multiple different divisions or in a country that crosses borders, you're going to need to look at how is that going to impact security aspects. How is it going to look with privacy regulation? What will we need to do in order to make sure that we have adequate governance processes in place? Many organizations have not structurally defined adequate processes to manage data. So this is also a critical capability to start thinking about. My favorite aspect of the big data framework is obviously the people component, and that is represented within big data function. If you want to start with being successful, you need to set up a place in the organization that can help you prosper and which can help you start to create a knowledge hub around big data best practices. And that is known as a center of excellence. So building a center of excellence where people can start to come together, where they can solve business problems, and where you centralize the knowledge in your organization is really crucial to establishing this. Last but not least, the final component of the big data framework is artificial intelligence. I meet a lot of people that say, I would like to start an AI project. And my question is always in return, how have you arranged your data? The crucial part is that artificial intelligence algorithms work on the same data sets as traditional business analysis, on traditional ways of machine learning. In order to deal with that, we need to start thinking about the center first. That's what you will see why artificial intelligence is the center around the other components. If you don't have those components in place at the first time, then starting with artificial intelligence is going to be very difficult. So in the last 10 minutes, I hope I've given you a very, very brief introduction into what are the 6 crucial capabilities that you need to start thinking about to become more data-driven, and what are the steps that you should start building on a day-to-day basis in order to address them. Thank you very much for your time. I hope I didn't talk too long. We'll go towards our next speaker.
Thank you, John, for your presentation.